Guys, something that's been on my chest is like week 17 is a interesting week. It's a standard week for fantasy football championships, right? But and it's always like that. It's always been that way. But should it be? Because like there are a lot of variables that happen, right? Let me just go on a little soapbox here, and then I'm curious to hear kind of what your thoughts are. But first of all, and I got to verifying this: 3 games on Christmas Day on a Thursday, 2 games on a Saturday, and then the rest of the games were on Sunday except for one Monday night game, right? But like, what if you had guys that are questionable on Monday night, and then you got to wait until Monday night to figure out if you can play them? And you've had 5 games played between Thursday and Saturday. So even if you have like a Sunday night questionable player, and this is the championship weekend. And to top that off, we had how many no-name shitty quarterbacks starting for teams? How many starters were pulled like halfway through the game because their team was still in contention for the playoffs and had locked up a win already? I'm curious. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on week 17 as is the fantasy football championship and how it plays out some years?
I've got 2 thoughts. I can kind of play both sides, where some people would say it's kind of new that you have so many games on Christmas. It's usually just one game that's being navigated. And there's probably going to be even more, I would say, in the future. Holiday games, I think, do well for ratings and whatnot. So,
but that's basketball's day. Go ahead.
I think they're here to stay. I would say, well, make sure you got all your stuff together. Make sure you got your plan in place. You know, that's part of it. It's like balancing the Monday night guy that's questionable. You could argue that. The other side would say it's kind of a wonky week. You got holidays and family and things to juggle as well. And there's 3 games on a Thursday. So it's a little bit weird. I lean in the latter camp. It's kind of a little bit hard to navigate. And then also it's week 17. The season's longer than ever. And you got injuries on top of that. But I guess it's an even playing field for everybody. So there's just some luck there in terms of if you get a bad draw with your squad or not.
You're damn right there's some luck there. And we'll talk about that later. Drew, what are your thoughts? I mean, I don't want to take the stage away from you here.
I don't have an issue with the week 17. I think this year was especially brutal with how Christmas fell on the calendar. There were so many games kind of spread out, but you just have to have a little foresight. It's kind of standard every year. Just would be better if the games were a little closer together in the week. I don't know how somebody could have like a team built on George Kittle being questionable and not go grab his backup off waivers. That's kind of crazy to me that somebody would do that. But
shots fired.
Listen, in my defense, I didn't go for him on Tuesday night. I was going to go for him on Wednesday night, but he was gone already.
Man, and who picked him up? Was it the guy you were playing in the championship?
It might have been. But hey,
who's to say?
But I had 2 other serviceable tight ends. I had Goddard and I had Johnson, and I wasn't necessarily going to start Tongas, who had been looking better, but hasn't necessarily looked like a superstar all year whenever he played for Kittle. I wasn't necessarily comfortable putting him in the championship over someone like Dallas Goedert or Juwan Johnson.
Sure.
However,
I'm just teasing.
Well, however, whenever one of your starting wide receivers is suspended for punching a fan, and then one of your other receivers gets hurt, and then a running back gets hurt, and then Kittle gets hurt, and then you pick up your insurance plan, and he hits like the flu or something and doesn't play either, you kind of run out of options there. You start to run out of options.
If I had a good Bane impression, I would do like I was raised in the dark monologue right now at you, but I won't.
Also, how many points did Kittle have? Even before he went out with an injury, didn't because he?
Well, that was the week before.
Okay, you're right.
He scored enough to beat me.
You're right. That's what I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, there you go. You know what? It's fine because also I had Lamar that week that didn't play, and just a great week for the championship. It is what it is. It's fantasy football. I'm not pretending to be treated unfairly here.
No, I do think it's crazy that people still play Week 18 championships, though. That's unreal.
Absolutely not.
That's insane. And I will say I was the beneficiary of some of the wonky Week 17 stuff because if you guys will recall, I started Quinn Ewers at quarterback who shouldn't have been starting, but this Dolphins season was over, so they started him for like 3 games to end the year. And that actually paid off because he played better than Aaron Rodgers, who would normally have been my backup. So Week 17, it just feels weird to me, though. I don't know. Obviously, you don't want it to end sooner, but also it can lead to situations like this. And unfortunately, my opponent didn't have any of those situations. He just started his normal team like a regular week.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry having 4 touchdowns and 200 yards is, I mean, it's honestly surprising that it was even close. Like that should just be the nail in the coffin. It's over. Almost like if Puka has like 45 points or something like that, or 37.
Listen, my claim to fame here is that if Derrick Henry only would have scored 30, I would have won. Which is insane to think about.
Oh man.
Well, we're going to talk, I think, a lot and a little bit about fantasy football. I just really wanted to kind of scratch that itch because week 17 was a weird one this year. And to your point, Drew, week 18 is actually psychopath behavior if you play your championship that week. But we've got some good playoffs going on here. And I know that we've got a lot to dissect because we had a very long episode talking about fantasy football about a month ago. And we get to follow up on that tonight because Steve is traveling. And so we brought back our esteemed guest, Drew and Jordan. If you guys have watched before, here they are. Welcome them back. And thank you, boys, for coming back.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me.
While going through the formalities, episode 51, hard to believe. Social media, you can find them all on singlebarrelsports.com. Check them out. Give us a like or a follow if you think our content's okay. But boys, we got an hour ahead of us. What do you guys want to talk about? Anybody got a burning, desirable topic you want to bring up tonight?
I actually do. I don't know if it's out of place, but whatever. We'll start because it's on the top of my head. One of the first ideas when you asked me to come on was the year of the offensive coach switching teams is what I would say.
Phew.
And so I was going to get your guys' take. It's like around the league, you've got, I'll just list them, the ones that are coming to mind, and let me know if I miss any. You got Ben Johnson leaving the Lions, going to the Bears. Bears having success, Lions regress. You got Kellen Moore, which is a sleeper one of the group, leaving Eagles, who come off a crazy year with Saquon and winning the Super Bowl. He's with the Saints, rough start, but now Tyler Shuck looks like he's their solution long term. They looked a lot better the last 4 or 5 games. Liam Cohen leaving the Bucks. Jags look a lot better. Bucks kind of take a step back. And so those are like the three. You think I'm missing any other ones? Those are like the glaring, like kind of same scenario. Offensive coach leaves, has success with a new team, and the other team that he leaves has offensive struggles.
Well, I think you're onto something here, and we could talk about. I think his name's Petulo for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of conversely, right? You get a new OC that sucks ass, and your team, you regress quite a lot, and he's fired as of today, so he's out now.
Yeah.
I think it matters a lot, man. And I don't think it's just offensive coordinators, but I think this year has highlighted how important offensive coordinators still are in an era where people say defenses win championships. And I think it also kind of separated that argument of Dan Campbell or Ben Johnson, who was the one making the Lions look the way they looked. And maybe I'll get some shade for that.
Yeah, I think the Lions one has more to do with like their O-line taking a huge step back, which the Eagles could play that card too. But most people are saying that it's Petulo and Jalen Hurts that are holding that squad back right now. But yeah, I mean, those are the big OCs, and that's why I don't know how long it's going to stay like the meta in coach hiring right now. But if you can lock up that offensive, the McVay, the Shanahan, now the Ben Johnsons, Liam Cohen, if you can get him as the head coach so that he's not getting his genius OC poached every year, he is the genius OC. I mean, that's obviously the way to do it. And you bring in some defensive mastermind to shore up the rest of it. So, I mean, Cohen, obviously, like we talked about in our group chat, like how does Tampa let that guy leave? Well, they didn't really. Like they made him the highest paid OC, but he wanted to be a head coach. And now like he's going to be set in Jacksonville as long as he can keep a pipeline of players and a defense that's relevant, which that defense is honestly like better than their offense. He just calls a really good game on offense. I love their personnel on defense though. So yeah, I mean, Jordan, that's definitely the way the NFL's going. I don't know how long it's going to stay that way, but I feel like every team's racing to get that next guy in the head coach spot.
My question is, what happens then with all of these vacancies that have opened up now? You've got some big name coaches out there that are now free agents. Are teams chasing them, or are they going to be chasing some accomplished OCs now? Because how do you pass up on a John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin? I mean, there's some big names out there. Just to name a couple, there's Stefanski. There's a handful of them, and Stefanski doesn't look as desirable now after this year, but he was coach of the year like just 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think you've got to go get that stability. And to the point about is it Ben Johnson or Dan Campbell? I think Dan Campbell is more of the like spirit animal of the team where, like I just like love him. He's like the Vrabel, Dan Campbell, like the players just gravitate towards these dudes, like they're football dudes. And so, but maybe Dan Campbell's not the greatest X's and O's guy or the offensive genius, defensive genius. He's just like a great head coach, or at least a good head coach, I would say. And so that's kind of hard to say. Also, I wanted to mention, what about Josh McDaniel? Does he get any credit in New England? Dude's been in the league 20 plus years at this point. He's still like not that old, but he was with Brady for years. Like it's one of those things like, where does this experience get you? And then he comes back home to New England. He's been a failed head coach twice at least. And then he comes back home to New England, and he just there's something about like accumulation of knowledge. It's like a boxer who's had like 100 fights, like a Donald Cerrone. Scott, I know you like UFC. Like these guys that have had so many fights that you're just like, this guy knows what he's doing. And I feel like sometimes like with OCs, that's what people kind of will think. And I mean, he's had a good year, so
that's fair. Speaking of McDaniel, Mike McDaniel's out there.
Mike D.
Oh, he's gonna go somewhere, right? I mean, he's gonna
100%. He's an OC somewhere, right? I mean,
like you would think so.
The Lions have already reached out to him. Could you imagine him with Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams just scheming stuff up? Like,
it sounds pretty awesome. It sounds kind of sick.
And we already know that Goff can operate, like he knows football enough, like he can operate an offense. Like
Goff can do what we wish Tua could do.
True. Yeah.
I think
that's it's an interesting thought. Honestly, I mean, some coaches probably are better suited to be OCs. When you look at Mike McDaniel in the media, it's a clown show. Like some of the interviews that he did this year was kind of like, is this really an NFL head coach talking like this after a game? Like he seems clueless. He seems disengaged. So maybe he's just better suited for that role. And it's kind of a flip from how we started the conversation today.
But I will say his team seemed to believe in him as a head coach, though. He never, they didn't quit on him at any point this year. They kept playing. They had a much better season, I thought, than I would have guessed how they started. To Jordan's original question with some of these openings, that makes you think like, I know Mo Salah is, or not Mo Salah.
Mo Salah. Yeah, Mo Salah.
Liverpool on the brain. The Reds are so bad this year, guys. They are so bad. My gosh. But what's my guy's name?
It's a big shot Bob Salah. Robert
Thank you, Bob Salah. So he's a defensive guy and has failed as a head coach. But he does his job well. Are people going to be lining up to get him? Or is it just like, let's keep what we got going? Stefanski's a name that because he's an offensive guru. You just forget about it because he's been the terrible Browns head coach for so long. Yeah. I'd love to get him in basically any of these openings.
Well, I saw this on Twitter, and if you can read mouths better than I can, people were saying that they saw Jackson Dart at the Ole Miss football game whispering to the coach. The coach had asked him, who's your next head coach going to be? And he said, Harbaugh or Stefanski is what people were reading his mouth to say. And so it sounds like they might have a two-man race going on in New York. So I'd be curious to see that. One thing I thought was hilarious, I think it was the Ravens owner was being interviewed today. And he was asked about the Mike Tomlin situation. He didn't know that Mike Tomlin had stepped down. He found out during the interview. And he literally was just like, oh shit, wouldn't that be cool? Imagine that. Imagine if he came here. And then he was like, but I guess only if Harbaugh goes there. And then they were all like joking about just trading head coaches.
Dude, how is Zach Taylor the last man standing in the AFC North? And he might be like the worst coach in the division.
Oh my gosh.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I think, we'll see what you guys think. But unless Tomlin and Harbaugh just retired, which isn't going to happen, like, those guys are going to be head coaches somewhere, right? It's just unless they just say, no, I don't want to go there because it's a dumpster fire. My boss, who is a big Dolphins fan, apparently the owner, this is what Stephen Ross, I think, of the Dolphins, has some ties with the Harbaughs. I guess he really wanted to hire Jim Harbaugh once upon a time. So he was kind of excited. He was thinking that John Harbaugh might be headed to Miami, is what he was hoping for. So we'll see.
That would be interesting. You guys have much more of a coaching knowledge than I do. So I don't even know, obviously, I've known Harbaugh as a head coach for so long. I don't know. Is he more of a defensive coach?
The special teams guys, how he started. He came up as a special teams coach and got promoted.
Okay.
I did not know that.
Really random here, but have you guys seen Mike McDaniel's running routes and catching footballs?
Dude, he's a baller.
Clips, yeah, I'm just like, holy shit. Sign him to a team.
Yes.
I have not seen that.
It's kind of crazy.
Recently, just for fun.
I think it's within the last couple of years. There's clips of him running hard routes and making difficult catches, and I'm just like, dude, what? This is just some head coach on a team.
I mean, isn't he late 30s, early 40s? He's pretty young, right?
Yeah, I think he's a little younger.
Yeah.
And I think he played football, right? But I don't know, if he was accomplished. I actually don't really know much about his past.
What's the opening you think is the most desirable right now? If you were one of these coaches that were looking for a gig, what's the spot you want?
Giants.
It's gotta be Giants or Falcons to me. Falcons is kind of sexy, man. You got Bijan, you got Drake London. Is Penix just done? Are they gonna move on from Penix, or is he just gonna come back and be the guy? Question mark. And
I think he's back for one more year.
Their defense is good. I would say the Giants is the easy, sexy choice, but I think the Falcons is a good spot.
That's not what I would have thought about. And you are right. I mean, there's a lot to build with that's already there, ready to go to compete. And a weak division too. They could definitely make a turnaround there quickly.
For sure.
Speaking of a weak division, man, I wrote off the Panthers entirely. They almost won that football game against the Rams. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I I just felt like it was too like it was like the spread, especially like 10.5 points, was like too far, and they'd beat them previously. I was like, this can't just be a blowout, and I just did not believe that it was going to be a blowout from the jump. And then I kind of started to think that it was going to be the Panthers, and then it just that pass to Parkinson was honestly absolutely insane. Like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it literally won them the game.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no way that he just caught that. That was so bonkers.
That play was amazing, dude. I think Travis said it in our fantasy league chat, but I could just watch that over and over again. Like, what a beautiful throw and catch.
Timing of it, like you
I
had to have.
I didn't want to comment too much. I didn't want to just like glaze Stafford in the chat while the game was going on, but that was something. McVay's got this habit of just playing with his food, man. I don't know what's up with it. Like Puka did drop what would have been the dagger, probably like going into the half. He had like that touchdown wide open down the sideline. And it just like went off his hands when he like has 2 drops on the season or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that deflated them a little, and then they had some turnovers, but the spread was high. I did not think it was gonna like be an issue there. But going into like the third quarter, I kind of thought Carolina was gonna win it.
I think that it validates Bryce Young a little bit as a quarterback. There's been a lot of question marks about him, and this was a high pressure situation, and he looked decent. I wouldn't say he looked good, but I think
it's like a worst case scenario.
Yeah, okay.
That's my zag. Like he's going into year 5, and you still don't really know.
You still don't know, yeah,
because it's kind of like you almost wish like he would have sucked, you know.
You're gonna be in a Tua situation where like he's he's like good enough that you can't like just like move on, but you don't want to sign him to a $53 million a year contract.
And he's obviously better than the garbage we see for half the teams this year, where we got like the Chiefs' third string quarterback off the street out there. Like
the Vikings' third string quarterback named JJ McCarthy that they start.
Oh yeah, you think? Well, I guess they have Wentz. I was going to say you think over Brausmer, because that guy is like the worst quarterback I've ever seen play football. But
they win the division.
Was he 10th overall? Was he the 10th overall pick? I forgot.
He's got 8 starts or 10 starts. The layoff of my boy. He didn't even play football last year. He's still in rehab right now.
It shows.
It does show. I'm not going to lie. Listen, but then like every third pass or so, I'm like, how did he make that throw? And it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, how are you going to make dime after dime in one football game, but then in between those 2 dimes, you're missing people wide open in the flats, or you're throwing it 100 miles an hour at a guy 5 feet in front of you? I don't understand how there's like 2 extremes that are so widely apart from one another.
I feel better about Bryce than I do JJ at the moment. But also, Bryce was the first overall pick, and we're going into year 5, and we still don't totally know. Like, that's not an ideal situation, and you're just kind of like held captive by this guy that you invested capital in, and he looks good some games. He looks good at moments in games, and then looks like the worst quarterback ever other times. I don't know.
In other words, Coker, boys, Jalen Coker, a guy, he's been kind of bounced around a little bit. Wasn't he part of a trade last year? Kind of seemed like he was kind of written off, and then wasn't great this year. Looked
I had him on my team all last year in Dynasty, and then I didn't have roster spots for him. So I have him in my other leagues. I had to drop him in this one. Of course, Jordan scoops him up.
Like right away, I think.
He's like an analytics like darling, though. He's kind of a baller.
Yeah. I mean, he looked fantastic. I was trying to figure out if they were overcommitting on Tet, and that was why Coker was getting the looks. But still, when the game's on the line, you're going to throw the ball to Tet if Tet's your guy. And Coker was still getting the targets. So it's a wild situation there to see him just kind of really show what he could do that we haven't really seen consistently in the last couple of years here.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a solid like bye-week flex guy. Hopefully, if the Panthers are like decent, then you could throw him in, because I think he'll be the wide receiver 2 there over Leggett like for a while. Like clearly, like they value him. And then
Leggett's kind of been a letdown, huh? They've had a few letdowns, I feel like.
I don't think anyone really ever believed in him, honestly.
Hey, Keon or Leggett?
Ooh, I think I would still take Keon. I think that Keon can still do it. He shows signs occasionally.
Pure ceiling. I think Keon like potentially. I don't like either one, and they both could be just out of the league in like a year or 2 or less. But I don't think Leggett has any chance of relevancy. But Keon, if he just all of a sudden changes everything about his character and like is good at football, then
and learns how to run routes,
and then maybe there's like at least a vacancy, I guess, there. Whereas like T-Mac's going nowhere at all, and I don't think Coker is either. Before I forget, I wanted to circle back on the whole quarterback thing. Is there any better case study than Phillip Rivers? The Colts literally signed Phillip Rivers as the best option to try to make the playoffs, because they thought they sold their first round picks and they were trying to make the playoffs, and they said, Was Anthony Richards back? Was he cleared yet, or he was almost cleared?
He was still
No,
on the
he was
IR
on the IR
technically.
till like week 17.
Okay, so they had Riley Leonard, who I guess he was a rookie. So, but it just goes to show like negative 1,000 athletic ability and age, Philip Rivers. But all he had was, I'm familiar with Shane Steichen's offense, and I know the offense, and I can make decisions.
And I
he
have
threw some
experience
touchdowns.
playing football, right? Many
Yeah.
years of it.
And so it's just like we talked to Scott Andrew about like the Purdy archetype. It's like he's athletically like, what is he? He's just like good enough, but between the ears, he's just that guy, and they have lots of experience. And you just need a guy to operate your offense, especially like a Shanahan style offense.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if you're an Anthony Richardson type and your quarterback's 250, 6'4", doing windmill dunks. It's like if you can't make the right reads and the right throws, it doesn't matter.
Hey, speaking of making the right reads and the right throws, my boy Juwan Jennings has the same number of playoff passing touchdowns as Justin Herbert does.
Juwan Jennings.
I just want to throw that out there. Justin Herbert has 2 total playoff touchdowns in his career, and Juwan Jennings has 2 passing touchdowns in the playoffs, and is a wide receiver. So yeah, just wanted to make sure we covered that.
Juwan Jennings, I saw the list. They said he was a better prospect than Joe Burrow and Lamar out of high school. And they showed that little graphic.
I had no idea.
That was like
I
so
would have
funny.
never known that. Wow.
Out of high school, I think it was. There's multiple people on the list, but he was above Joe Burrow and Lamar, and I forget there's other like name that you would recognize, but it's kind of funny.
That's wild. I want to go back to the Panthers really quickly here, because as we're talking about a bunch of the uncertainty on that team, another thing that went really well for them this year that I think they ruined right at the ending is Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle was pissed after the playoff game, and when he was interviewed asking about the future, he basically made some comments that alluded towards he's probably not going to be a Panther next year.
What's his deal? Is he on a 1-year contract? Was it like a prove-it deal this year out of Dallas?
I think so. The way he was talking in the interview made it sound like he was planning to probably move on next year, and he straight up told the interviewers, he was like, "Yeah, the way I've been used these past few weeks is a big part of it." Yeah. He averaged, I think he averaged 8 touches per game for like the last 3 or 4 games of the season after having like 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns or something crazy like that. And so it's a weird situation there, because obviously Chuba Hubbard is no slouch either, but Rico was pretty dominant at times this year, and they just stopped using him. And now he's kind of like, all right, see ya. It's like,
I know we might get into some fantasy chatter later, but there's some RBs hitting the market, or we hope will hit the market, that could suddenly become very interesting. Rico included, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Rico was done. But coming into this year and being behind Chuba, I was like, this guy's kind of cooked. Like, I think he was over 1,000 yards rushing last year, and then I was like, he's probably done. But he looked good this year. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah.
I can see.
I don't want to cut anybody off, but it's so weird with running backs, right? The line and the play calling have so much to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
the DeMarco Murray effect.
The DeMarco Murray effect, and also this year the Janty effect. Like, does anyone think that Janty forgot how to be a running back this year, and he's doing 3 yards a carry? Like,
3 yards a carry, and it's averaging 3 yards after contact per carry also.
Yeah. And they have like advanced metrics or something where it's like yards greater than expected. They try to say like, what would the average running back in the league get? And I don't know. Does anyone think that Rico Dowdle at like 26 or 27 years old is some like elite talent that's like he had 2 back-to-back like 180 plus yards on the ground? And it's like, was he just running through wide open holes and he's like still an NFL running back and making the most of those carries? It's like, how many running backs in the league in that situation with that particular carry in that game have similar numbers, because they're just whooping the defensive line's ass the whole time? It's an unanswerable question, but that's why running backs are so weird. Whereas if your team is good, you plug and play. The Shanahan running back 2 is like the most valuable running back 2 in fantasy. Whoever is the backup to Christian McCaffrey is like the most valuable backup in fantasy.
Or the 3 or the 4, as last year showed us too. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
But I don't know. That will be interesting. I think Dowdle will. I don't know. You think he'll find like a 1-year deal again to start for a team that needs a running back?
I think he gets a 3-year deal and just becomes a part of a committee. That's my guess. And I think the expectation is up front. Like, you're going to split the carries. You're not going to get overshadowed. But we'll see. Because who does that go to then?
What if the Chiefs go cheap and they don't go Brees and they go Dowdle? Would that be a good move or nay?
I don't think Jets are letting Brees out of the building, unfortunately, for Brees Hall. It's suicide watch out there. I think they're going to franchise tag him, and even though he like wants so bad out of that org.
Yeah.
Are they going to do that just to be able to trade
Brees Hall, man? Can you imagine Brees Hall on any other team?
I could.
That team is literally belly up. Like, they're just laying dead in the water with an elite running back just sitting there, just dying, I think, to probably play for a relevant football team. I don't know. I can't even
got some
imagine.
trade ideas I need to send Drano's way. maybe.
Ooh. Hey, my 2-week probation is up, so I'm fielding trade offers now. After the championship game, I said I'm shutting down the app for 2 weeks. I've been obsessing over this a little much in the playoff weeks. But really quick, I do want to get into fantasy football, but I think the running back topic is a really big one. And I'm so curious. I know we talked about this off and on throughout the years. Running back is one of those positions I think that mileage matters more than most other positions, especially from a fantasy football perspective. And so like Travis offered me a trade for Derrick Henry before this year. Derrick Henry ended up being the reason I didn't win the championship because I turned the trade down, but I also don't think I would have made the championship game if I had Derrick Henry on my team. So it's a double-edged sword. But what is your perspective? I mean, Derrick Henry obviously has a lot of years in the league. He had a down season. He was fumbling the football a lot more than characteristically. And then out of nowhere just has that game in the championship. And do you think that running backs like that still carry value this late into their career where it's worth fielding them in a fantasy football perspective, in a dynasty league in particular? Or is it like, get rid of this guy at all costs, which I think is what Travis was trying to do with me? Like, what is your cutoff? Because I'm so curious about this. I think about this a lot. Like, I never want to trade for running backs because I think they're always overvalued.
Okay, I'll go first.
Overvalued. Interesting.
Well, overvalued in a sense that like if they're accomplished, then they've already had a lot of miles. You know what I mean?
Well, so last time we were on, Jordan asked the Saquon prompt. Like we had a whole discussion about the age cliff for running backs and like, was that his peak value? Should you sell him? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll let you go in a second, Jordan. But I think guys, like styles make fights. Fights in the playoffs, typically you want like that Derrick Henry type.
That's
Derrick
fair.
Henry always delivers in the fantasy playoffs. He might have slow starts of the year. Harbaugh, like inexplicably, will have him be like undefendable for the first half and then give him 2 touches in the second half.
Yep.
So that really drives a lot of Henry's value week to week. But especially this year, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Lamar's banged up. They don't really have a ton of receiver threats. It's getting cold out. They're going to feed Henry. So I think he obviously carried Travis. Now, what would I give up for him? Not much right now, given his age and the touches he had. But I don't know. Where were you going to go, Jordan?
It was going to be from a value and a price perspective, where your original prompt, I think you said, which running backs do you do this with? And
So,
essentially
go ahead.
zero.
Go ahead.
Essentially zero. Out of unicorns, Derrick Henry and CMC are Hall of Fame unicorn level players.
Yeah.
And they're like the only exceptions to the rule of like the age cliff. Every other mortal player starts a drastic decline in their late 20s and into their 30s if they're still playing by their 30s. And so those are the guys that I would consider at the right price. It's another year because people were saying that Henry, I know it was before I started playing Dynasty, but people were saying back in 2020, 2021, they were worried about his age. And he's just been keeping on. I mean, would it surprise you if Christian McCaffrey for 2 more years is like, if he's, I mean, obviously it's a big if he stays healthy, is this productive for 2 years, 3? Would it like absolutely shock you?
I don't think it's shocking at all. The health thing is the big factor with him, in my opinion. And I've always been so scared, especially as he ages, because of his injury history and how much they ride him during the season.
Yeah. And there's a lot of data behind like that special number of touches that a running back might get. And then suddenly there's this huge, like Saquon, that was the whole conversation coming into this year. And he did fall back again. The O-line might have had a slight thing to play with that. But especially with how the Niners had to use him this year with no Ayuk, Kittle kind of in and out of the lineup. Jennings was down for a while. Pearsall's out for a while. This was not a typical season for him. And it's a miracle he stayed healthy, but I don't know what next year looks like then because of that. You know, I'm optimistic and I root for him obviously, but it's a unique situation for sure with his usage on top of like what happened this season.
This actually brings up something, Jordan. I remember it was like back when we graduated pharmacy school. So I'm looking back like 2017. And you and I had this debate about CMC and Derrick Henry coming out of college and who would you rather have? And I remember you were definitively saying, because of the total all-purpose yards that CMC had, he's the obvious choice. You 100% want to go with him. And I remember saying I would take a proven running back from Alabama because they tend to always pan out in the pros, and I don't really care about all-purpose yards. And it's so funny to see now, nearly like 9 years later, just looking back on both of their careers after we've had that conversation, there wasn't really a wrong answer in that situation.
Yeah, I remember another segment of that conversation because Henry won the Heisman that year, right? He won the Heisman.
I think so,
CMC didn't, but I think CMC broke like Barry Sanders' all-purpose yards in a season record or something at the time. I think it was something like that. It was some crazy stat because he was used all over the field. And it's what more could he have done? What more could he have done to like, I remember that was my argument. It's like he literally got
Win.
like more yards than anyone ever. Like you can say it's like, well, I guess on that team, I guess yeah, what team you're on. But, I don't know. It's interesting. I'll say like for the right price, I would definitely go out and buy Christian McCaffrey. And I actually did prior to this year, and then I made the trade with Travis, which is an interesting.
That's true.
If
Yeah.
you want to go back and look at that, that's an interesting one to look at. In retrospect, because I remember what it was. It was I traded Christian McCaffrey and Devonta Smith for James Cook and AJ Brown, and I got a 28 second round pick. This is what I believe. In retrospect, I see Travis needed CMC to win it all. But James Cook wasn't in point scoring. He wasn't number one, but he had the yardage, title for the year. But
that's another thing,
like,
Jordan. I challenged you earlier this year and said that James Cook relies heavily on the touchdown, and he doesn't score points if he doesn't get touchdowns. And then he went out and had the rushing title this year.
And I gambled on that because it was like up in the air if he was going to get that extension, because obviously that trade doesn't happen if James Cook gets an extension, and then that trade wouldn't have happened. But I gambled on it. This time it actually hit for me. But
let's be real, James Cook only won the rushing title because Daniel Jones got injured.
I like that.
Very well may be true.
Question: can we definitively say now James Cook greater than Dalvin Cook? No, we're not there yet.
Dalvin had some years. That was kind of before I tuned back into football, but I know he had some crazy years.
You think?
That's just too early.
Do you think he will be? You think he will be? We revisit this in a year.
I'm hoping.
I don't know. I guess I'd have to go look at some Dalvin box scores. I remember Dalvin Cook just being a monster, and James Cook has had 2 good years.
I'm pulling up Dalvin Cook's career stats real quick because I am genuinely curious. He played for looks like 8 seasons. He had 6,227 rushing yards and 47 rushing touchdowns. Pretty good. He had another 1,882 receiving yards and another 5 touchdowns. So yeah, in 8 seasons, 52 touchdowns and over 8,000 yards. Pretty good. Pretty good. And that includes a season that he only played for 2 games and a season that he only played for 4 games. So that makes it sound a whole lot better if you say basically 6.5 seasons instead of 8.
I mean, looking at Sleeper, because it keeps track of all like the people's finishes. In 14 games, Dalvin Cook was RB5, and in 2020, and also in 14 games, he was RB3. And
that's
pretty good for those years.
Yeah.
But,
all right. You know what? Too early to tell. I'm gonna take that one back.
And that was typically on teams with like receivers also involved in the offense versus this where it's James Cook and Josh Allen, and then who knows?
Yeah, honestly, that's a big thing. Like you need Superman at quarterback and James Cook to have a big game to even have a chance to win. And we'll get into our playoff predictions here soon, but that scares the shit out of me. That scares me a lot. I want to stick with the fantasy stuff because we did tee up so much stuff like a month ago, and I think some postmortem would be fun. I know, Jordan, you brought up the idea of doing this. So yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about the playoffs prospectively, but what actually mattered, what actually decided the championship, and I think Derrick Henry, we could all definitively say did, but what led us to that place? Because I know, Jordan, you lost to Travis in the first round, which was kind of an upset, I think, in all of our eyes. So how did we kind of get to where we got to? I beat Drew, and there were some big games that happened before the fantasy football playoffs.
Yeah,
or finals. Sorry.
It's got to be okay with luck. We kind of knew that it was going to be chaos. All of the top 5 teams, as we mentioned in our previous episode, are close enough that it would just take an okay, like a 40% day for one guy and a 60% the other guy, and it swings it. Like we're close enough that it wouldn't take that too much to swing it one person's way or the other. And so the rest of it is luck. You've built your team. You've had the injury luck or good luck at the right time or bad timing, and just got to live with it. I do think that Travis's team is the oldest team, and he kind of I think we said at the time that he was had the most pressure to win, and he ended up winning. But I don't know. I didn't leave it feeling much worse about my individual team. It's just one of those things where that's how it rolls. I don't know, what about you guys?
Well, I think one of the things I wanted to talk about is, do you guys think winning a fantasy football championship is skill or luck? And I think I've been on the record many times saying this, that I think that getting to the playoffs is a skill, succeeding in the playoffs is luck. And so I think to your point, you can't control the schedules that you have over those specific weeks. You can't control the injuries that occur. And I think that teams get hot at the right time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're always the better or the worst team. And I think luck can factor into that a lot. But yeah, I mean, you want to build consistent lineups that can at least hit a floor every week. And I think we all did that. But Travis rose up and he hit a high ceiling a few of the weeks. I don't necessarily think his ceiling when he beat me was as high as when he beat you, Jordan. He scored fewer points against me, although he still had a good game. And just kind of unlucky some of the losses that I had for the championship game. But that's fantasy football. Drew, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I agree with it all. I'm just looking at you and I matchup. So I lost by less than 3 points.
Yeah, it's a tight one.
And I had a lot of start sit decisions that there were two going into the week that I really didn't know about. One was like what to do at quarterback between Baker, Stafford, and Burrow. And I waffled at the last second and I put Baker in because Stafford was playing Seattle and he didn't put up a ton of points. Baker had been playing better. Turns out Stafford scored 31 points that week because they lost to Seattle in that 38-37 weird overtime game. I had Kirk Cousins on my bench with 20 points. I could have played him and it would have been fine. I didn't know if I should start Josh Jacobs because he hadn't practiced all week, but he was like the RB5 on the season. And like I had just traded for him. You can't sit him.
Right.
And then he got like 4 carries or whatever.
Yep.
So there were some bad beats. Trevion Henderson had 1 point looking back at that. And I still lost by 3 points. So if I had made better decisions, like I just mismanaged that round.
Well, Henderson wasn't really a bad decision. That was just an injury because I remember when he got
he
hurt,
got concussed.
Yes.
Yeah.
and Lamar got hurt the same night. Because when Henderson got hurt, I was like, I guarantee I win this game now. And then Lamar got hurt, and I was like, oh shit, and it became a whole lot closer.
So it is luck and a little bit of just like you got to make some decisions, and it is what it is. You trust your process. You know, I've been riding. I traded for Josh Jacobs. I wasn't not going to play him there, even though I'm looking back at it, maybe I shouldn't have. But and then after that point, like it's honestly best that I lost that round because my team just like fell apart after that. So I would have just been disappointed losing in the final anyway. But
yeah, I will say I remember when you texted me about benching Stafford because we were kind of talking about it, and you're like, I'm considering benching Stafford because of the matchup. And at the time, I remember thinking to myself like, damn, I wish you wouldn't. I actually thought the same thing you did.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope that you play him against Seattle because their defense was so dominant at that point. And so I don't know if that helps or hurts because obviously it wasn't the right choice, but I felt
like Jordan said, we all like our teams, and like I'm not hurting for points. I like where I'm going next year. It's just things didn't fall my way. Things didn't fall Jordan's way this year. We'll come back next year and see we're still going to be really competitive.
One thing that was interesting, and Jordan, you can fact check me on this because I think you were the one that brought this up, but everyone on our podcast predicted on your side of the bracket, including me, predicted you would be in the finals on that side. And I think had you been in the finals on that side, I think I would have beaten you in the last week and I would have been the champion, if I recall.
I gave up on doing the sliding doors thing because I got a little frustrated by it. Because like one of the ones was like, if Zachy doesn't do the 2-point thing where he's the 1 seed, that he bumps everyone down. I don't play Travis first round. I would have. I think I scored more. I think I scored more than everyone the second round, but I was out of the playoffs by that point.
Yep.
I actually didn't. Like I don't think my team would have won the championship versus. I don't think my team did well, so that wouldn't have mattered in the long run. But you know, you look at all the what ifs and the breaks that you did or didn't get, and that kind of speaks to the overarching question is, which is kind of the mantra. You build your team the best you can, and then you just got to hit on some luck to you know, at the very end. And it's
I think Scott, I don't know if I told you this, but in one of my other leagues where I have like a stacked team, I won last year. I had a really good chance to repeat this year. I had a couple guys on IR, but whatever. It's only start 9, so it's a little easier to cover that. Who would have known that Chris Olave would outscore the combination of Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, and Amon-Ra St. Brown? What are you going to do? Like, what am I supposed to do about that? So
yeah.
Fantasy.
Hey, Olave owners have a lot of reason to be hopeful. The first half of the season was kind of a roller coaster. The second half, holy shit, that guy looked phenomenal. And now looking like some stability at QB maybe. I did not think Tyler Shuck would be the answer there, but he looked pretty decent the last few weeks of the season.
Yeah, man, as an Olave owner, I got some offers. I would say no. I do think if someone was like, Olave's still the guy, he's going to be the guy, and then overpaid at the time, I may have moved him. But no, everyone was giving me like fair value at the time, which was like what I thought was a low ball on him. Because I'm like, I mean, if the team turns around, like he's the cheapest wide receiver one that is, I think, is an absolute stud, even like in the middle of the season. It's like the team's just bad. He's about to get a bag probably from the Saints. I'm guessing they're going to extend him. You know, it's kind of just ask yourself how many teams would bend over backwards to sign like this guy, like this type of player, if they hit the free market. So, I was just
every single team in the league.
I'm glad I didn't move him. And tried to come look at an offer like right after the end of the season, and I'm like, dude, he was like wide receiver 6 on the year, and then he had a bad year.
Yeah.
Why would I like unless you're going to blow me away? Why would I get rid of him at the end of the year?
What's the latest with the blood clot situation there?
That's a good question.
I have no idea. I'm guessing it's just a time thing, I guess. I don't know. I actually don't. I saw that it happened, but I haven't looked up any like if it's a lasting thing or once it's resolved if he's good. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to look that up right now because I'm actually genuinely curious. recovering well, expected to be fully healthy for the 2026 offseason program. So hopefully
His
signs are
noggin
clear.
as well. His noggin's good and looking good too, I think.
I'm curious what you guys think. I mean, obviously waiver wire, we all get $100 every season, and then we do the best we can with it, and we all typically kind of blow a heavy portion of that on one player. We kind of go all in on because there's only so much roster space, right? You can't be in a dynasty league, you can't be dropping players or other people scoop them. You can't get them back. So were there any waiver wire narratives that really stood out this year that you guys can think of as far as making an impact in the playoffs? And you joked about this earlier, Drew, but I'll kick it off. When Travis picked up Tongus, I think that really did put a sizable nail in my coffin. I thought I had other options, ended up not being available for the game. And so I took an extra day before I wanted to try and grab him. And by that time, he was gone. So that, I think, is a big one that might be overlooked because Travis didn't even start him. But I couldn't start him either.
I mean, that's gamesmanship, like you just, my opponent has no quarterback. Let me go add every single quarterback off waivers real quick.
Yep. Well, that happened that week too. Between him and Zach also picked up some backup QBs.
Zach just got Malik Willis for $0. Like you could have gotten Malik Willis.
I was going to go after Malik Willis, but it looked like at that point on Tuesday, it looked like Lamar would probably play. And then on Wednesday, they came out and they were like, no, he's actually doubtful now. And so then again, I was like, well, damn, I would have picked him up, but I was a day late and dollars short on two different players.
Yeah. My funniest one, and we talked about this name last time I was on, but you can't talk waivers and not bring up Michael Wilson at the moment because I basically got JSN off waivers mid-year. I think he's like 0.1 points per game behind JSN from when Marvin Harrison went down and Jacoby Brissett came in. Now, I don't know what he's worth. I don't know what I'm going to do with him going into next year. It's a weird vibe there, but he's got to give him some award for whatever he pulled off with all those garbage targets that him and McBride racked up half season.
Yeah, if I didn't drop him, I would have started him in the absence that Kittle left in my lineup in the finals.
I have one that the only reason I would think of it is because of that Dynasty Daddy wrapped like little feature thing for our league, and it was Aronde Gadsden. I picked him off waivers and then used him in my Loveland trade to get Trey McBride. So that was in terms of like added value, I think. Obviously pretty happy with that.
And Gadsden might still be good, but that was just a clear I don't know if he's going to be good, so let me just turn
Loveland,
it right now. And
after that playoff game, Loveland could be, man. But this year, that trade was phenomenal, and McBride's not going anywhere. So that was a great trade, or a great pick up and then trade.
Yes, sir, man. I don't know. We'll see. What if Gadsden and Loveland are like each 60% McBride? I guess maybe it may have to be more than 60%, but I don't know.
Jobs I'm not lining up for the Cardinals head coach position.
No, thank you. Well, last time we were here, we all talked about narratives a lot, and I'd be remiss. You already kind of brought this up, Drew, but we talked about rivalries, and obviously I finally got my win against you. There's been a lot of losses in a row. I think it makes the rivalry stronger whenever both teams are proven to actually be able to win. And so I know that had to have been a huge heartbreaker for you with the big lead that you had and the kind of crazy finish that game had. I'm obviously happy I won, but I'm actually really looking forward to playing you in the future now that I feel like this random superstition has been shattered and it looks like I can actually beat your team. I don't know if you have any thoughts about the rivalry. Again, this is just narratives. It doesn't really matter.
I mean, you just need all my best players to either be hurt or their quarterbacks be hurt, and then me make all the worst decisions possible, and you can beat me. That's true.
Or conversely, you just need Puka Nacua to score 40 points every single week and still lose.
Yep. That feels good.
Yeah, that's
it was fun to play you get into the playoffs, and I don't know. Like we mentioned, our league's like the top 4 to 5 teams. Like we're all going to be duking it out for the next few years. Yep. Anytime one of us matches up, it's always fun.
Well, Travis is kind of selling the farm a little bit, or it seems like he's wanting to. Like between now and next season, he's like, I've won, and he's shopping. It seems like he's wanting to kind of not run it back.
You think he made a trade 10 seconds into the trading being open again. Honestly, I don't think he could run it back with his team from last year, but I also don't think he should sell the entire farm because he still has good pieces. I think he should be strategic with the pieces that he sells. And I don't know. That's the dynasty thing is there's lots of different ways you could take your team.
I know some like dynasty philosophers, if you will say that like being in the middle is like the worst place to be. Like your team's good enough that you're in the middle of the league. It's like sometimes like pick a direction, either like try to make your team good or like sell your people and try to get really good picks so you can like make a move if you're not really in that upper echelon, but you're not also getting like a full rebuild. But then
Yeah.
another philosophy is make the playoffs, and anything could happen. Like you could have a
Yeah.
middling team and just get hot, and then you just won a championship. And so it's
That
like,
was me the first season, right, of our dynasty.
And this season.
I love it. I love it.
But if you guys remember, though, the first season, I think I had
for
a
sure.
losing record. I had like one more loss than win. But my team
Oh,
was
did
like
you
the
really?
hottest
I did
team.
remember that.
Yeah, I was a super hot team, like going into the playoffs, though. And then I ended up beating, I think Travis was like number 1 overall that year, right? And I beat him. I beat him and Jordan. Not you, Jordan, the other Jordan. And both of them were like top teams in the league. No, Ant was number 1 overall.
He was third. Yeah, Travis was probably like third or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I think Travis might have been 2 because I think I beat Jordan first round and then Trav and then lost to Anthony in the champs. But
Gotcha.
I think in our league it also is different because we have a 10-team league. So making the playoffs with 6 teams, I mean, you could be literally like the 6th team is not a great team typically, but you're still in the playoffs.
Right.
If things go your way, you could have just an okay team, and then all of a sudden you get hot at the right time. Whereas in a 12-person league, if you're a bad team, you're not making the playoffs.
And that's why it's always funny when people are like, "Oh, I don't want your pick because you're a contender." It's like, well, if I go out in the first round, like that's the 105, like that's the 5th pick in the draft because it's only a 10-team league. That's how I got Bowers and Trevion Henderson the last 2 years. It's just like the guy lost in the first round, and I got lucky.
Do you still think that Henderson long term? Would you rather have him than Judkins, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think I would. I have to go look at our rookie draft. Yeah,
because Judkins went 8th and Henderson went 5th, I think.
Oh, in our rookie draft, yeah. I want pieces of the New England offense. I don't know if Ramondre is going to be there forever, but Ramondre is still good too.
Yeah.
Judkins broke his leg, and the Browns don't have a quarterback or a head coach or an offensive line. So I'm not like psyched to have him, but he is like talented. I would certainly like want a piece. I just wouldn't pay like what I'd pay for Henderson probably in a vacuum right now.
That's fair. I've always been higher on Judkins, but after looking at the season and seeing now on the 2 teams that they're on and the situations that they're in, I do feel like currently I would feel higher on Henderson just because of the situations. And they're also very different styles of running backs too.
Yeah, the situations is one, but even more so like in fantasy, you got to give just a certain bump to the receiving back who obviously like Trevion. I mean, Trevion has not quite Gibbs level or even HN level of receiving, but I mean, he's like maybe in the same stratosphere in terms of receiving work. And we're just seeing him as a rookie. He's probably going to expand that role as he gets older. And Judkins, even though I think coming out of college, he actually caught the ball more than people thought, but he's definitely not. He's obviously a bruiser rather than a receiving back. But I mean, just those types of players like break fantasy. So the receiving upside of running backs.
Yeah. Henderson's numbers are like uncannily similar to Gibbs after his rookie season. If you go look them up.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Gibbs and Henderson, I was going to bring up real quick just can we do a little recap of the first round of the rookie draft here?
Yeah.
Now you said about Henderson and Judkins. Genty, does he still go 101?
Honestly, I don't hate the pick. I think that Genty is the best running back of the draft and probably the best skilled player, non-QB of the with this draft.
Genty Hampton, you'd still go 1-2 there?
I mean, if I could draft them in order today, I probably would actually choose Henderson over Hampton.
Would you take Tet over either of those two?
Tet's like
that looks
like
good.
A stud.
Probably would be my number 2. I still think Genty could be worthy of that one pick, but they need an offensive line. Imagine what he looks like with an offensive line. It's worth holding him for 5 years to see him on a different team if he can go to a team with an offensive line.
As of right now,
4.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying Tet went 4, so it's not like he was way off or anything. But
as of right now, this might be I don't think it's a hot take, but I actually, given what we know and where the landscape is, and they're going to be getting a new offensive coordinator, right now I would take Hampton over Genty because he's presumably going to be healthy next year. They're getting both of their offensive tackles back that they didn't have all year long. So all that was part of the year, but Slater was out all year long. So their offensive line is going to be actually competent. They're going to have a new OC. I don't know.
And he produced.
And they'll have Najee back with a good eye and a good Achilles.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we wouldn't be taking Travis Hunter at the 103.
No, and I wouldn't have done that last year either. That was a wild pick.
Henderson, I got 5. Cam Ward 6 is a value. Tyler, I mean, he took the best player available. Like Cam Ward, I could see Cam Ward earlier. Ibuka went 7, and I'm not the biggest. I know you guys, Scott, you like Ibuka more than I do.
I didn't think he should have gone at 7. I thought it should have been Judkins, and that was my pick that I traded to him, and I was going to choose Judkins with that pick. So when he didn't choose him, And especially because he already chose Hunter, I was like, whoa.
And then I'm going to get, so Judkins went 8, and then I'll close this out. Let me give you a list of names.
Don't do it.
Tyler Warren, Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, Colston Loveland, Jackson Dart, Cam Scadaboo. All of those guys went after Caleb Johnson.
I knew you were gonna, you had to mention Caleb Johnson. You had to, man. And I was so happy with that trade too when it happened. And I remember
I thought
Drew
Caleb Johnson
loving,
was gonna be good,
I have a Caleb Johnson chair.
and he still could be, right? I thought it would happen
he's
immediately.
a 3rd round pick. It's like I just you just want to get in the building and be like, is it a character thing? People were calling him like at Iowa State like baby Brees. Like he wasn't quite as explosive and crazy as Brees Hall at Iowa State, but he was like putting up some crazy numbers, and he's got like a good.
And he had a good
build.
preseason.
Yeah,
he had a good preseason too.
It's just one of those things. I guess like I don't know, like the trust factor. Like obviously, like everyone on the Steelers was just nutting over Kenneth Gainwell all year long, and he played really well. I mean, I guess for good reason, but it's like I don't know.
Gainwell was a shock to me. I thought when they drafted Caleb Johnson, that Gainwell was going to be just kind of like fading into obscurity, and then he had a great season.
I thought it was going to be like a poor man's like Gibbs and Monty, where Caleb Johnson would be kind of the bruiser-ish back, and Jalen Warren would be the receiving back, that type of dynamic. And nope. But I guess Jalen Warren can receive, but he's also kind of a bowling ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But,
well, let me ask you guys, since we were losers in the fantasy football playoffs, who was somebody that you trusted, that you needed, that didn't come through for you? And I'll kick it off. And maybe you guys think I'm crazy for trusting this player, but he had a hell of a season. And it was George Pickens. There was a time this year that he was wide receiver 2, and it wasn't super early in the year that he was wide receiver 2. And in the playoffs, he was just kind of average. And I needed him to be a little bit more than average. Sorry,
I'm looking up like my my playoff bracket here for this past year to kind of see what
I would say Lamar Jackson. I would say Lamar, but he was a letdown all season, so it's not really just a playoff thing.
Let me see.
Yeah, and luckily I went out in the first round, so I only have one that really impacted me here. But
so I went out in the first round after scoring 165 points, so I can't really complain there. And then the week after that, I scored 201 points, but I was out of the playoffs, so that was unfortunate.
I forgot about that.
And then what was the final score between you and Travis Scott in the finals?
Ooh, I would have to go back and look. I don't remember.
I can have it if you had it there.
I think I was in the high 150s, maybe, or 160. I think he was in 160 or so.
Okay, I think I had 153. So I don't know. I feel like my team didn't really like let me down like down the stretch. I know Dak didn't play quite as good down the stretch, but I feel like
he also didn't play full games down the stretch, which gets back to my original Week 17 gripe.
Honestly, you know who it really is? It's CeeDee Lamb, because CeeDee Lamb, like, he wasn't CeeDee Lamb. He had like 15 points, 14 points, but he didn't have the Amon-Ra, point. Like he didn't have the Puka game,
the 40-yard game. Yeah,
he didn't have like the crazy game. Bucky really didn't do a whole lot once he came back and was healthy. Yeah, I mean, obviously Trey McBride's the GOAT, so. But
yeah, Drew, I think Josh
big
Jacobs
ones
for you.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. But even look, I mean, I guess I still do that trade again. Like I wouldn't not do that. I mean, it was the 106, I guess, something like that. I'd still take him over whatever rookie I'm going to get at that pick.
Yeah,
it sucked like going to the playoffs thinking that was going to be like this thing to solidify my lineup, and then he got hurt basically a quarter after I traded for him. Definitely him. Jefferson never bounced back thanks to our guy 9. Drake London got hurt, and he was the wide receiver like 2 or 3 halfway through the year, and then just couldn't get healthy, and then their team kind of fell apart. And then JT was my big, like looked like he was gonna carry me to a championship, and then Daniel Jones went down, and it just turned into like, how many guys can we possibly use to stop Jonathan Taylor?
What a tale of 2 seasons there with the running game for the Colts.
Yeah. My team kind of went as Jonathan Taylor went, and it was Jordan and I were texting while we were playing, Scott, and it was like when he scored that touchdown like at the very end of the game to put me up over you. I was like, oh my gosh, I actually have a shot here.
Dude, I
Kittle and Jennings decided no.
Yeah. Kittle. Speaking of Kittle,
I don't want to. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's just say an Achilles in the actual NFL playoffs means I don't get him for the entire next year, even though he's still on my team. And like, what a really sad position to be in, coming off of still having a good season, to just
great season.
Out, just going to be out one of my best players for the whole next year now.
A dude with like 100% approval rating, like everybody just loves him.
I was going to wallow in my own self-pity a little bit, and like the most, I would say like some of the worst luck I had. Can you guys guess who I'm going to mention as far as letdowns? Garrett Wilson.
AJ Brown?
Garrett Wilson, considering I traded for him literally the week before he had 3 catches and then instantly hurt himself. That was the week.
Yeah.
That was the first week I was starting him, was that week, and then he injures himself and he's out for the season. And so that one I traded away Travis Etienne. So that would have been maybe cool to plug
Yeah.
into my lineup. I still think that trade, again, big picture, I traded Garrett Wilson for Travis Etienne.
You're better off moving forward for that for sure.
This is first, which obviously ended up being the last pick in the draft, and then
Sorry about
Zach's 27 third, so I could throw away. Like as of right now, like all things considered, yeah, I still like the trade. But man, like
Sure.
Garrett Wilson was like the king of garbage points, and then he gets injured literally the week after I trade for him, and it's just wasted assets and just a waste for the rest of the season. Kind of a bummer. A little bit of a letdown, I would say.
Do you know what else is a bummer? Having a diva at wide receiver that bitches every game that he doesn't get 5+ targets, and then he drops multiple passes in the playoffs and you lose to the 49ers at home.
Well, he ain't going to be on the Eagles anymore.
I don't know if we need to do this now, but I'll defend AJ Brown here.
Let's hear it. I mean, there's no script. Just let's hear it.
I mean, wide receivers do need reps. And when you don't get the ball thrown to you, like catchable, Justin Jefferson had this thing this year. He was dropping balls you would never see him drop, but he would have a catchable ball thrown his way twice a game. Like it's really hard to stay locked in with, especially with the amount of tension you're drawing from opponents, like every single snap. Like
So-
it's even more Marv. When Marv drops a ball, it is so glaring, even though like he drops it just as much as anybody else.
Rebuttal to that then, does him getting reps matter more than the team's success? Because that's the way he treats the media.
Well,
If you had a competence,
let me rebut.
Go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, a little bit when you have a asset like him, and your team is held back by a quarterback whose greatest trait is winning, but then they don't win the game. So then, what is that quarterback bringing to you? Or your coach he has a winner's mentality. Well, they're losing games. So what is your coach adding to this except alienating your best skill position player?
You know what? I would love to jump on the train of talking shit about Jalen Hurts.
I like half believe that. So
I saw a video today from another podcaster, and he was like, after this game, we can ignore the talks about Jalen Hurts being a top 5, a top 10, hell, even a top 15 quarterback. I'm like, maybe we put him in the top 15. But I agree. I think that he's kind of overhyped, and he's had really good football team around him, not just offensively, but also defensively for pretty much his whole career. And I don't think the dude can throw the ball. I think that he relies so heavily on a stupid gimmick play that can't even be correctly officiated, and then having really top tier skilled players around him. That's my hot take.
I put a lot of the blame on the play calling. When you have, it was just like the ESPN pregame, like morning show before this weekend's, like, well, I think it was on Sunday. And you had Dan Orlovsky and Rex Ryan basically laughing back and forth about how the Eagles are running a high school offense. Like, and how they were running like a mesh concept against zone, which is just like literally a high school like passing concepts like 101. And they're basically just like dunking on Patullo and the team, just basically saying like, how are you letting, even Sirianni, like, how are you letting this happen? This is so like elementary and they're playing against Shanahan. It's even more stark. And they were just like basically like laughing at like that this was even allowed to happen in the NFL. They were just like, obviously that's what they do. I'm just a passive fan, but they're just like, it's like embarrassing how rudimentary the Eagles offense was, which obviously that's why he's fired. But given that, do you think it was Patullo had no creative ability, or he's trying to play to Jalen's ability?
So this is from Twitter. Okay. So this is not super credible, but it was a sports analyst that is reputable posting this. I saw this just today, and he was posting that an anonymous player on the Eagles team that didn't want to be named had reported to him that they literally run a high school level offense because Jalen Hurts can't understand offensive complexities.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing where like, you're a professional coach, you get paid money to scheme and call plays. Like, obviously you got this job somehow. You don't think he is aware when they go watch film, like, this offense looks bad, I'm not going to make any changes? Or is their offense bad because they have to cater to the guy that has to execute the plays they call?
Okay, question about that.
Who's to say?
Question about that is there must be like some internal issues with that, because okay, you're playing for your job, and Sirianni's job will be on the line if they suck next year. I think people were saying even now after winning the Super Bowl a year ago. So here's the thing. I don't know. Is Tanner McKee capable of understanding these concepts? Because that's kind of what happened with Purdy, is they basically said, hey, this is the last pick in the draft, he's our third or fourth string quarterback's our best quarterback. If you introduce those concepts, if you tried to implement them and Jalen can't get it, you think that one of your other quarterbacks like is just like hasn't played enough football and they can't get it? Because like I know that Trey Lance was terrible, but it's like there's so much money involved in incentive, and Kevin Patullo was a nobody, so it's like obviously you can't bench your Super Bowl winning quarterback necessarily, but if the whole team can see, hey, here's a concept, and if everyone at least believes that the concepts work, but then Jalen can't make the reads or can't make the decisions, shouldn't that be evident to the whole offense and the whole coaching staff? And if that
Well, it
is the
probably
case,
is. Yeah.
if that is the case, then like the second guy should be able to go in and run that same scheme effectively, or in theory, right? I don't know, but that's why I'm like, I kind of hesitate to say like, oh well, he didn't believe in Jalen Hurts, so they just ran a high school offense. That just seems like a cop out to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, and who knows? I mean, maybe his style of running the offense just didn't. Maybe that didn't mesh with Jalen. Maybe the previous one did. I don't know. But what I do know is that offense is super boring to watch. I don't like watching Eagles football this year, and so I hope they make some changes.
I love 10-yard runs, tush push, where you have your offensive. I think it's really good, really entertaining.
Listen,
really
Joshua
great.
gets it done. Joshua's a different breed, okay?
Dude,
you know what? You can at
hate it
least
so much.
officiate that play because he stays on his feet and he's not laying in the middle of a pile of people.
I hate it so much. It's just
I also
so
hate it.
annoying.
If they got rid of the tush push, I'd be fine. But I do
Just-
like that Josh actually stays upright and doesn't just get lost in a pile of 20 bodies.
Here's what I would do. I would reinstate the aiding the runner penalty. Just bring it back. And then in the preseason, officiate it like they did. Was it? It was like not this year, but last year. The offensive lineman, the tackle, when they had their foot back, and there was like 3 or 4 penalties in a row on the team in the preseason because like you know how they would always put like their outside foot way back and they were like not even on the line. And they called it like throughout the early parts of the season, they just kept calling it until teams actually adjusted. Do that with the aiding the runner. If anyone tries the tush push and you have those big guys pushing to the back, flag.
It's kind of a stupid rule anyway. I actually hate the fact. I hate the fact that someone can just grab a runner and start pulling them or pushing them. Like that's kind of stupid in my opinion.
I still think that it would happen either way. I still think that the Eagles would run it even if they can't do the push part of it. Like you would just do a modified sneak with the same like offensive line strategy, and I think it mostly would be effective. But
you know what I find funny about the tush push is that the Steelers run it with a tight end, and it's like way less effective than Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts doing it. I don't know if it's because it's so obvious, but it's also
some
very
comfort,
obvious.
like getting the ball from the center too. Like you can just be so much more fluid getting into that movement.
Yeah,
but
just the
reps.
Kind
of like, and also the reps, and also like there's a special sauce to it, kind of like the Brady QB sneak, right? There was like a special sauce, special technique, like he slide through. You know, like obviously he wasn't like physically impressive. It was just the cadence, the whole thing. That's like kind of an art form to it, which is perfectly fine. No one's like saying, "Oh, that's unfair." Like no one ever said that about the Brady sneak. It's like
let's just go back to those days. Honestly, when they allowed you to aid the runner was kind of weird. It was a weird change in my opinion to go back to that style. I don't know.
And we could rehash it, but I guess their argument was that it's hard to officiate. That's why they got rid of it. They said, "Oh, it's hard to officiate." I was like, I don't know.
So was the tush push.
I mean, is there any chance that they don't vote? That's not like one of the main things that they try to vote out this year. Like they almost did last year, but
I think there's a lot more ammunition this year, especially earlier in the season when there's like, oh, well, the defense just came out with the football, but we can't verify that it was actually fumbled. So we're just going to give them a first down because we have no idea what happened.
Or the his forward progress has stopped, so it's not a fumble, but we can let him push for like 3 seconds and suddenly it's a touchdown.
Yeah. Yep.
That's annoying. That's so annoying. I still hate the defenseless receiver play sometimes. It's just like, okay, like I literally don't understand. If it's a fast play crossing routes and you're the safety and you can meet the guy right when he's going after the ball and you like basically split him in half, it's a penalty every time. Like there's almost no way that you can blow him up these days.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to like swat at the ball, and if he just catches it, then you can't really touch him. I just think it's so lame. Like it's just so lame. Like I don't know. You don't want guys getting hurt, obviously, but it's just so stupid that like I don't know. I get really, it's just super annoying. Like how could you defend it?
Brady has a really good like video of him being interviewed about that. And I love it. Everything he says makes perfect sense. He said basically quarterbacks in today's day and age don't have to be careful about where they place the football because the penalties will reward bad throws. And he said back in the day, you had to, as a quarterback, not only make an accurate throw, but make a safe throw for your wide receivers or they were going to get hurt. And it allowed the defense to play defense versus nowadays people are like, oh, I don't give a shit. Like, here's your hospital ball. And if you go to the hospital, we're going to get 15.
It's rich from Brady seeing Edelman and Welker just constantly getting concussed, but there was no blue tent. There's no blue tent back in the day. So like he could just do it over and over again and nothing would happen.
You know, everything has a perspective, right?
A possible segue there, implications of Nico Collins likely being out for the game in New England.
I mean, if Christian Kirk can get up 144 yards per game, then it might not matter. But Also, a guy I dropped this season that just randomly emerged this week.
Not
Well,
losing any sleep over that.
Yeah, well,
same.
because CJ Stroud's clearly just playing super, super well. That was hard to watch.
Ohio State quarterback, bro. They never train. CJ Stroud. I was saying this actually recently. CJ Stroud is kind of the only exception to the rule about Ohio State quarterbacks being terrible in the NFL. But
I mean, is he the exception?
This year, he's had some higher moments, but he's had some pretty low ones. And last year was a complete wash. So we're about 50-50 with him. And that's not really what you want out of a quarterback. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. I'm like trying to think of CJ Stroud, like who would be like an equivalent like guy in Dynasty that I would want over like CJ Stroud.
Doing Bryce Young or CJ Stroud?
Malik Willis, I would take over CJ Stroud. I'm playing. I'm joking, but
I'd go Stroud
am
over
I, though?
Bryce.
I think I go Stroud over Bryce because he's already had some success. So it's harder.
Stroud or JJ?
Stroud.
I mean, listen, I love the guy.
Stroud or Purdy.
But I'm realistic. Purdy.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Purdy is not always Purdy when it comes to like fantasy football scoring, but he is always going to give you a chance to have a nice score, and he's going to keep his team in a winning position to where they're going to be able to score some points. And
Stroud or Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, T-Law, easy.
Yeah, after this year, T-Law for sure.
Yeah, that's just my guy.
But honestly, after last year too, Stroud sucked ass last season. 2 years ago, I would have said Stroud.
I think preseason this year, people still thought that Stroud's like because he's young enough and did what he did his rookie year. That I think. And
bro,
Trevor
I'm from Missouri, man. You know this. After you had a bad season, your sophomore season, you're gonna have to show me. I'm not putting you over somebody else.
Yikes. Guy has one kid.
Hey,
I had no idea.
Another on the way. Had another on the way. I'm getting good at this. All right, listen. I do want to ask the question. I know we're cruising here when it comes to the time here, but where did we go from here when we talk about our dynasty leagues? Get back to the fantasy league real quick.
Sure.
I don't think the window, we established this last time, right? Our windows aren't closing on any of our teams. If there was a window creeping shut, it's probably mine compared to your guys' teams, but I still think I've got plenty of youth. I think I've got 2 quarterbacks that aren't going anywhere, so not too concerned about that. But like, what is the fallout of not winning this year? What does that mean for moving forward? Jordy, any thoughts on that?
I mean, fallout makes it sound a little bit like the world is falling. I think the person that needed to win was Travis with his team, like the most. Like everyone else can like have another shot or 2 or 3 depending on your team, and things will change. But I mean, that's the point of Dynasty, is like there's still hope at the end of everything. I think we mentioned now, like redraft's kind of hard to get excited about. If your first round pick and redraft goes down early, it's like, well, I guess I'm done playing fantasy for the year if it's a competent league. And so now it's just like, oh well, we can retool, and again, the beauty of Dynasty. But as far as outlet goes, I'm as optimistic as ever. That's why I'm kind of sitting on my team right now. I actually like it. Just like things have changed between now and the start of next season, but I would start week 1 right now with the team I have and feel pretty good. So we'll see how the draft goes, and I'm sure I'll make some deals along the way and whatnot. But
Oh yeah. Well, Drew, let me ask you if you had any thoughts to that first, and then I have a follow-up question.
Same answer though. I mean, I like where my team's at. I think it was the first or second most points for, in light of all the injuries and stuff I dealt with this year.
Yeah, I think you ended up making first and I was second. We kind of went back and forth.
Yeah. The playoffs are the playoffs. I've gotten a lot better the more like years I played fantasy of not getting like too low or too high in the playoffs ever. So we had like the added, just like you and I playing, I got eliminated in other playoffs, and like I just kind of moved on with my life, So I'm in a pretty good space with that. That is the fun thing with Dynasty. I'm like Jordan mentioned, I set my lineup tomorrow and be pretty confident come week 1. I know I'm going to make some trades this summer because it's just fun. And I like to think of ways to package stuff together for another piece that I want, or just a name that I think be fun to have.
Yeah.
But looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
I feel the same way. I mean, obviously having Kittle pop an Achilles this weekend was kind of brutal for my next season outlook, but I also didn't have Laporta for the stretch this year that I'll have back next season. And I still have Goddard, who was an amazing season. It was like a revitalization of his career this year. Juwan Johnson, and clearly a lot of touches on that team. So not really concerned about the tight end position, although I do wish I had Kittle. He's one of those guys that's hard to replace. But my follow-up question then, and I'll go in the same order here. Who do you rank in our league number 1, 2, and 3 right now, as of right now, Jordan, for next season?
For next season, I would put Drew at number 1. I would put myself number 2, I think, going into next year. It's like tougher. I think that I think that they have to make some moves, but the potential could be there if they hit. Would be like a Jordan Smith type if he gets everybody back. But I'd have to put you or Zachy depending on, I mean, Zachy again did have just like guys that are just like name values just kind of just didn't show up as their value has tanked for like really no reason other than they just played worse than they have
Right.
historically.
Yeah.
And I'd probably put you in third, is what I would say.
Drew, what
I
about
know
you?
we're all on the pod together, so that's an easy answer, but that'd
I
be
mean,
the
I have the
that'd
three
be-
of us. Just objectively, I have the three of us in our top three too. But Drew, I'm curious what you have to say.
Yeah, Zach is the wild card because, like Jordan said, it's name value, but it's a lot of dudes that got name value out of their rookie years. And it's like, oh well, that guy didn't like BTJ or like Genty. We all were freaking
Or
out that he got
Lad.
the 101. We couldn't believe it. And then like Genty was good, but it wasn't like a league changing asset for him to have this year. Lad, he traded for a Dunze.
Kyron's
He's
not
got a
going to get any
lot of these
better, I
names.
don't think.
No, so I still love Zach's team, and like if the dudes like come back in their third year and make a jump, then he's like one or two, honestly. If Jaden
Right.
comes back next year,
Uh-huh.
It looks like his rookie
like
season again. Yeah.
yeah, Jaden and Goff, obviously he made that trade for Fields, which didn't work out in the long run, but he has the name value. His team is going to be the most interesting to watch probably because like Jordan Smith or Bryce with the Rasheed stuff, that might get a little tricky.
Yeah.
But Jordan Smith's team, I'm definitely looking at. Luke's team's a little frisky, but he unfortunately had too much success this year, so he's not going to get like an impact player to pencil in.
Right.
But he's loaded like 27 draft picks, so he's already looking at 27 probably.
Uh-huh.
But it's either Jordan Smith where his team takes a jump or Zach's team falls back, and then somebody by default has to like fill in there. I would bet on Zach, but I would definitely have us three, and I don't even know what order to put him in. Probably me, Jordan 1, 2, and then Scott your third. But
I'm going to be honest. I think Jordan Smith is on the road to success. I don't think this next year is the year. He might get like the 6th spot to get into the playoffs.
Mm.
I think you got CJ Stroud and Jordan Mason in his starting lineup. Those are not startable players. Who knows what he does in the offseason? Obviously, he's got Malik Neighbors, which is huge. He's got Luther Burden, who's looking brighter. Quentin Johnston, they'll look like a flash in the pan again. He didn't really finish strong. Rashid Shaheed was in his starting lineup. He's got Vidal. Like he started a lot of players that actually were kind of garbage. He does have Jaden Reed, who was hurt, so that's another player. He's got Worthy. And
How many firsts does he have? He's got a lot of firsts.
He does have 3 firsts, but those don't always pan out the first year. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I think that he's my fear is 2 years from now he's going to be a beast. I don't think it's this year.
And his picks are what? They're 3,
4, 8,
and then
9.
he has 4, 8, and 9. So I mean, in a weak draft class, he could be lucky. There's a couple guys in the league that have hit on picks, But
yeah, honestly, that's a good point too. Is that we've been really spoiled by strong draft classes lately. This season doesn't feel like it's got a lot of high value draft picks. I mean, there's a couple of quarterbacks and maybe a couple of wide receivers, but Jeremiah Love, people could maybe say, but I don't know. Overall, it doesn't feel like it's that strong of a draft class compared to the last couple of years.
Yeah, Scott, you never said what was your order if you had to pick. If you said it was us three, but what would you do if you had to pick?
Mine would be Drew, B, and then you, Jordan. And
got me at third. Okay,
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, you and I disagree on some of your players and probably some of mine as well. I think that you have a lot more depth than I do. I think that when it comes to consistency and higher ceilings, I think that across the board, I might have a little bit higher in my opinion than you. However, if your team can stay healthy and if I have any injuries at all, then you're going to be better than me. So
I gotcha. That's an interesting take. I guess I would disagree. I guess consistency. I would agree. I think ceiling you got me on some players.
Unless I have another year like this, I usually score like 45 to 50 points between my quarterbacks every week, and I don't think you're going to get that every week from your quarterbacks.
That's a good question. Do you expect return to that form? Josh will, but for Lamar, is that just like? I mean, he was hurt this year. Do you think that like he's just going to pick back with a new head coach? I don't know. I guess that Todd Monken's probably back. I guess is the new head coach going to come in and keep Monken? I'm guessing because he's.
Who knows about the OC, but I do think there's a lot of variables here. I think it was very obvious Lamar and John Harbaugh were not meshing, especially after their loss week 18 and the way that he addressed the media. And I think he had nagging injuries all season long. I hope he comes back to form. I don't know if he'll ever be what he was last year or the year before, but I still think that he's going to be a very highly rated quarterback in the future.
So outside the quarterbacks, then you got like CD and JSN kind of cancel each other out.
I don't think that we're at running back. I don't really feel like we're that different. I think Achane, I would take head to head with anybody in the league. Chase Brown is a little bit more of a wild card, but he finished super strong again. And obviously
Bucky kind of had a down year, so it's kind of who knows.
And I believe in Bucky quite a lot. And then it just kind of comes down to just like which wide receivers show up each week. Obviously, you've got some good tight ends, but I guess I should say so do I. But Kittle being out does dampen my team a little bit. It could be a coin toss.
I got a lot of the wide receivers that are like gonna play and like you could like flex them in and play them, like the Zay, Waddle, obviously Olave popped, obviously AJ Brown had a weird year. I feel like those guys like week to week are like in most leagues like they're just starters every week.
Yeah.
And then I think you've got like at the JSN the Pickens piece who popped this year, which I'm assuming he's gonna be another stud next year. But then after that, like me like going through your other wide receivers. After that, you got Addison who just got arrested.
That's a
I saw
misdemeanor.
that.
It's a
I saw
misdemeanor. It's
that.
fine. Nobody cares about trespassing.
I feel like once you get into that, it's like the confidence in some of those starters after the wide receiver spot, it gets a little bit murky. Obviously, Jacoby landed at a perfect spot. You just got your receivers landing in perfect spots with Pickens
I
and
still have
Jacoby.
DK. I have Parker Washington and Jacoby. So like one of those guys may emerge as number one out there, although they're also going to have Travis Hunter coming back. I don't view as a huge threat, but who knows? Who knows what's up with Kayshon Boutte? Some weeks I feel like that dude has so much potential. And other weeks I feel like he's just going to be a wide receiver for their team moving forward. So I don't know. I genuinely do feel like it could be a toss up between you and I. And I think my biggest concern for your team, Jordan, is if you have a major injury. I do think you have a lot of depth, but I don't think that there's a lot of people on your bench that I would feel super strong starting. Like I'm not going to feel great about starting Warren or Walker or Charbonnet or like those types of players.
That's where I'll let you know a hot take. Then I think that Walker will be starting somewhere else next year. I don't think he's going to be back, and then Charbonnet I think will be the feature back, and then they'll have someone to spell him. I don't think it's going to be a 50-50 split with whoever's there. I guess I'm being optimistic there, but I do think that is it's a real chance that could be how it plays out.
If those two things happen, then I concede to you.
Well, I just said that's what I mean. I don't know if they're gonna pay like Walker, and I think the league like thinks okay of Walker. I don't know. Maybe he'll get a prove it deal, but I think he'll get like a 3-year deal with an out after a year or two type of deal. I think from someone to be the main guy, and hopefully he'll get more of a carry share than he did this year. Was honestly it was like a literal 50-50 split on the Seahawks, and it like worked well for real football, but it was unplayable for either basically in fantasy. But I don't know. I feel like that situation. I don't think they're just gonna just run it back. We'll see.
Reasonable. I mean, all that makes sense to me.
Well, you got Jawan Jennings.
You
got Jawan Jennings, who's like the best wide receiver in the league. I mean, he's it's like.
Hey, has there been a better waiver pickup in the last 3 years?
I mean, Kyron Williams, Puka was a waiver pickup.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Okay, then
and picked him up. Where's the waiver pickup?
Oh yeah, like after week 1, that season, right? That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I definitely concede to that.
Kyron Williams is also a waiver pickup.
Do we all agree? Go ahead.
I've gotten Brock Purdy off waivers in a league.
That's a good waiver pickup.
No, my other league.
Do we all kind of agree that the champ probably is not going to repeat next year? I think we can all kind of agree on that, right?
I mean, he's already selling. He's
trying
determined.
not to.
Yeah.
Philosophy check: is patience a virtue, or are you just afraid to make moves? And I think this might be a question just for me. And I don't know the answer because I feel like that's so targeted, and I feel this sometimes that patience is a virtue, and sometimes I do feel the fear of making a move.
We've had this discussion over drinks in the past, and the analytical brain in me says that regretting a bad trade should hurt just as much as regretting a trade that didn't happen. Like a decision regretting a decision you made versus a decision you didn't make, at least in fantasy, it's like you should regret them equally. But I feel like psychologically we're wired to be risk averse, where you're just like, I'm just going to keep my guys and let it ride. When really it's like, if you're like, you probably should have made that trade at the moment. Like maybe you were like 55%. Oh, I think I like this trade, but I'm just too afraid. So you pull it back, and then vice versa. It's like, you got to just make the best decision in the moment and live with it and realize that it made sense. But not making a decision could be just as big a mistake as making a bad trade.
Drew, I know it was kind of in jest. Drew messaged me like week, 14 or something about getting Lamar. And can you imagine a situation where we would have traded Lamar for like Stafford in a small plus, and how that would have changed my outlook for my season?
Well, I was going to give you Baker in a big plus. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way,
for you, Scotty, is what would it take to peel Josh? I feel like is just you like him so much, you're just never getting rid of him. Let's just be honest, right? Which, I mean, he's the dude.
I made an offer with Josh Allen in at one time, and I never thought I would do that. And the person I sent it to, I had offered like 3 players for 5 players. Like it was a huge deal, but Josh was the biggest piece out of all the players. And basically the guy was like, oh, I don't want to name names, but the guy was like, this is overwhelming. can we break this down into pieces? And then started sending me like multiple offers. And I was just like, no, like none of the smaller offers actually added up to the value that I was wanting to get in the big one. And at this point, I don't really have an NFL team. I tend to like really attach myself to players and whatever team they're on. And it's always a quarterback. It was Peyton Manning for a while. Josh Allen is my guy. He's my favorite player. And so the Bills are kind of my team. I'm not like a diehard, so it would be really hard for me to trade him because he's the guy whenever he's playing that I'm always like 100% behind and rooting for. And I never want to play against him.
Yeah. There's also a mindset in like some of the dynasty circles of, yeah, it's sick to have Josh Allen on your roster, but you're also basically stuck with Josh Allen for the entirety of the league because what trade could you ever possibly feel good about trading him?
Yeah.
You're never going to get fair value for him. You're always going to get, 10 dimes for this really shiny dollar that you have. And then what are you going to do with all those pieces? You can't start all of them. And none of them are going to be difference makers really, unless you like finesse the trade. So I have Josh Allen in another league, and I thought about trying to move him for like Drake May preseason and get like a ton, like multiple stuff. And now obviously, like, I don't know what you get on top of May if you're trying to get Allen. I don't know why you would do that as a May owner. Although Allen's still the guy, but I'm with you. I don't know what I would even think to want back for him.
I think the only way it makes sense is if you trade him and another piece or pieces for like multiple big pieces in exchange. Like it can't be like a 1 for 5. It needs to be like a 2 for 3 or 4 or a 3.
Yeah, you
got
to like tier down at quarterback and then tier up at running back and receiver and get a pick or something.
Here's where my brain goes, Scott. What if you could trade Josh Allen for Drake May, a first, and then something like a second or a second and a third, like a Drake May, a first, and let's even call it like a top 5 first. Is it still just no, because Drake's not Josh? Yeah.
It's a no because Drake's not Josh in my heart, and it's a no because Drake hasn't proven multiple seasons of success in the NFL yet.
Yeah.
I've got a guy who I know will be, I can pretty much say guaranteed he's going to be a 1 or 2 overall in fantasy points every year. He's done it for like 5 or 6 years straight.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at this year.
He's a fantasy goat. He's like he's like one of the goats.
And he's also my favorite player.
Go ahead, Scott. And that's something a lot of like dynasty vets complain about with like how popular the format's becoming. It's becoming like so redraft brain though. We're like, oh, Drake May had a great year. He's the QB1 now. Like Jaden Daniels last year, CJ Stroud the year before that. Meanwhile, Josh Allen just keeps producing. He's not that old. Mahomes, like all these guys, Burrow. It's like, what did they do to suddenly get knocked down just because these dudes had one good season?
Right. Yep. And it's that
Luther Burden is now the hottest wide receiver in fantasy. For what reason? I don't get that at all.
Yeah, Mahomes still the guy. And Loveland is the guy.
Loveland. I will say that I'm fully on board with the Loveland hype after last week in the playoffs. In the playoffs, when it mattered the most, he was the most consistent player on that team. And he's from Michigan. Let's jump NFL, boys. We could talk about this forever, but let's hop in NFL. I'm gonna just rapid fire some questions here. Out of the teams remaining in the playoffs, who is the biggest fraud? Who's the biggest fraudulent team? Who doesn't belong? Jordy.
You guys are gonna think I'm crazy. Biggest fraud, I'm gonna zag and say the Broncos.
Ooh, the number 1 seed.
I think the Broncos, they've had some stinky wins. Their defense is good. They've had just some weird offensive games down the stretch. I think because it's Josh going to Denver, right? I think the Bills are going to win that game.
I hope you're right.
I think the Bills are going to win that game. And it's been, again, kind of a weird year. There hasn't been like a juggernaut team, and it came down to the wire at the very end of the season. I don't know. So I kind of feel like I zagged. I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a spicy take. I don't know.
I like it. I like the take. Drew, what do you got? I know what you're going to say already.
The Bears.
That's actually not what I expected. Okay.
Oh, really? That's what I was like thinking everyone would say.
Yeah. I like the Broncos call a lot, but I think like the Texans are not fraudulent. We know what they are. Like nobody's the same thing with the Niners. Like they're an incredibly well-coached team that are executing and doing so much with so little. But nobody like thinks they're fraudulent. Like I think we understand what those teams are.
Yeah.
Some people think the Bears are like world beaters, and I'm like, dude, they play this season over again, and like, are they 500?
They're the
like
luckiest
9 out of 10. Like I don't.
By far the luckiest team.
Yeah. They also lost to the Vikings with my boy 9 week 1, and a game they should have won.
Week 1.
Now, having said that, the Rams could easily lose to them, next week if it's Sunday night in Soldier Field. But that I would say Bears.
Okay, well, I'm going to say what I thought you were going to say then. I can't believe that nobody said this. And I don't even know if I believe it, but let's just throw the Patriots into the mix here. They now have beaten 2 winning teams after their playoff win. I think they're a well-coached and a strong young team, but when you've only beaten 2 winning teams, Do you belong in the playoffs? We're going to find out this weekend, I guess. They're playing against, in my opinion, the best defense in the league, and we'll see what they're all about. They are at home, thankfully for them.
It's going to be a really exciting game to watch Drake May against that defense, because I watching the game, it was like crazy how good Houston looked, and I actually don't know the state of the Steelers line. Are they like middle of the road in terms of their offensive line? Were they hurt? I don't know what their state was, but they looked like they were like it was a bunch of backups playing, because they just got absolutely just destroyed by the Texans defense. The Texans defense looked even better than it's looked all year, and it's been a top 3 defense all year in terms of talent and everything. So I will say, if Drake May goes out and he performs, I mean, is there any going to be like strength of schedule talk if they play well and they beat the Texans and he plays well against that defense? I don't know. I feel like obviously the MVP conversation is a regular season award, but I don't know. And then conversely, though, let's just say he has 8 sacks. The Texans have 8 sacks against Drake May, and they lose the game. Then it's going to be like, oh, they were fraudulent the whole time. I don't know. I guess it's going to be a fun game. There'll be narratives either way.
I mean, he just had a fumble and an interception last game. He had a couple like big rushes that were probably like his biggest. And he had the 1 touchdown to Hunter Henry that was like really nice. And we don't need to do the whole Drake May thing. We could get into it. But it is going to be. It's very similar to the rest of their schedules. We're like, they maybe played some good defenses at times, but they don't play in the same like high stress. Like the Texans offense is not a world beater, so you have so much wiggle room, especially if Nico Collins is out. It's like you don't have to be perfect to stay in that game. The Texans could. What did they score? They scored 30 points, but their defense had like 2 of those touchdowns. I feel like, and the Steelers couldn't do anything. So it will be impressive if May comes out, and I'm rooting for it. Like, I hope it's a good game. I love watching the Houston Texans defense, but it would be nice if like, okay, cool, we got to the next round after that cupcake matchup with the Chargers. Were they the worst team in the playoffs?
I think so. With the line and the state that
I think the Steelers were the worst team in the playoffs, but the Chargers were right there.
Yeah.
But the Steelers defense, I mean, I guess, was it the Steelers defense or was it the ineptitude of the Houston offense? I don't know. Call it what you want, I guess.
Yeah.
In terms of
probably
the Chargers have a good defense. They have some injuries, but the Chargers also have a good defense. And Drake May didn't have to do that much, and they still won. Like, I mean, it wasn't a high scoring game, but it was still convincing.
It's not like he didn't get any passing. He was nearly 300, but he didn't throw a touchdown. He threw 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I personally, I don't think that the Patriots are fraudulent.
I don't either.
I think it's a good team. I think they're a little ahead of schedule, but I would be surprised
for sure. Yeah,
I would be surprised if they're not right back with a similar record in a similar spot next year. For that reason, I would say that they're not fraudulent. I think that they're just exceeding expectations.
Yeah,
kind of like how Washington did last year. But I think that this team is better than that team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I guess I was only thinking this year because I wholeheartedly agree. In the future, this team's got to this could be the next dynasty. Potentially
New England
again, right? I know. Listen, I don't want to keep going all night long here. So I'm going to give you boys the choice. You want to talk about MVP or Coach of the Year? And we'll be quick about it.
Why not both?
All right, then quick about it. Okay.
Just cut us off. We just ramble.
Obviously, it's a 2-man race, right? It's between May and Stafford. There's pretty much no doubt about that. Drew, I'll start with you this time. There's a million things that go into MVP, right? Like, wins seems to be the biggest thing the NFL cares about lately because they've gotten it wrong the last few years, in my opinion. Obviously, the QB always gets it. There's never another position. There's the stats, which is like volume versus efficiency, the value to their team, and if they would win if they weren't playing, the supporting cast, the strength of schedule. There's all these things that are going into it. Who do you think gets it? And just very, very briefly, why? And I know you're going to say Stafford. So why does Stafford win?
I don't know who wins it, if I'm being honest. Like, I have no idea. I would vote for Stafford because he put up insane numbers, playing a much harder schedule. And I alluded to this with the May piece last week, where Stafford's in games where he has to execute every drive or they lose the game because they're playing a competent offense on the other side as well. There's 3 teams from his division that are into the divisional round of the playoffs. Like, every game was hard. Just because they're playing similar defenses doesn't mean the same team overall was the same. So it's at the same like tension level. It's the same tension to like perform every drive. May didn't have to do that. I think May had an incredible year. I also think that if you open yourself up to that conversation of, we'll take each one off their team and which one's worse, you can't really do that, because if that's the rationale, Josh Allen is the MVP of the NFL. Just end the conversation.
That's the real answer.
That's for sure.
So if you want to go that route, you have to take it all the way then. And it's like, well, what are the Chargers without Justin Herbert? And what are the Bills without Josh Allen?
Can you imagine
They're
the
more
Bills without
impactful
Josh
than
Allen?
Stafford or May.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, that's kind of like LeBron should have been MVP like 12 or 15 years in a row for if that's the logic, right? Like, but both are deserving, but honestly not as deserving as like how dominant past winners have been. Like just last year between like the Josh and Lamar, we've discussed that before.
And Burrow, come on.
And Burrow. Yeah, Burrow would have won it this year. If he had his season this year, I feel like he would have won it with the team. I don't know. You think the wins, if they had the same number of wins, if he didn't make the playoffs?
I think Burrow would have won it this year if all things consistent with the rest of what this year has been. Because first of all, like nobody's looked sexy. Like Stafford and May have both looked really good, but they haven't looked sexy when it comes to comparing to other like previous MVP award winners. Mm-hmm. Burrow would have been even further above them in every category and value to his team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue with that. But I'll say I go May. I mean his like efficiency is kind of nuts. I mean his stats are still really good. The team finished better, which historically that has been kind of part of the award is how his team record has been taken into account. And I don't think I've ever heard strength of schedule talked about in terms of the MVP. I mean, you guys have been following more closely for more years than me. I kind of jumped in it when we started this Dynasty League 3 years ago, but has strength of schedule ever been discussed in the past in terms of MVP?
Never.
Not to this extent, but also they've had like literally the easiest schedule in 3 decades. So it's like also unprecedented how the schedule was for them this season too. So it's a hard conversation.
It is. And it's like, well, does that probably actually dovetails into the next thing with Coach of the Year, but like normally you give those easy schedules to the bad teams so that they're not just getting dog year long. But here you have the Patriots that are just better than all those crappy teams, especially in the
And I mean they've lost some games to winning teams, but they've beaten the Bills, which is not an easy task to do. They did it at home, which is a little bit easier. And now they've got a playoff win under their belts. So I don't know.
And I don't want to discredit May. And this is the last thing I'll say. It is interesting also that, like you said, Jordan, like the worst teams would maybe get the worst, but maybe this team wasn't. Maybe Gerard Mayo was just that bad, and they were hurt last year, and their division is bad. Like their division is worse this year. Like I don't know. There's a lot of things that like went the Patriots' way.
Yeah.
And Stafford did a lot of things in spite of things that didn't go their way.
I will say, I think that any argument about strength of schedule should be canceled out by quality of players surrounding the quarterback. Can you imagine if Drake May was throwing the ball to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams all season? You have like 2 of like the top 3 receivers when it comes to like fantasy points on one team. Who do you got? Stephon Diggs and then what? Kayshon Boutte? Like, what are we doing here? It's a weird thing where like, yeah, you're playing an easier schedule, but this guy's got a way better team around him. I don't know. I give it to May strictly because I think the NFL prioritizes win above everything else. Like I said, they've gotten this award wrong multiple years in a row now. And I think also the change from winning, I think it was 4 wins last year to 14 this year is super significant regardless of your schedule. You're playing in a professional league. So that's my argument for May. But Stafford is actually the odds favorite this week, as of DraftKings and FanDuel and all of them, which is really weird because last week May was the odds favorite.
It is interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I think that Stafford might win. I don't know. It is kind of tough, but I did want to. I think it's a good segue though into Coach. Did you want to talk about Coach of the Year and to make it quick?
Yeah. Yep.
But I think the first candidate, which I think who should win, would be Vrabel. Again, the turnaround. Yeah, weak schedule, but I don't know. He's got that thing. The guys just believe in him, and that type of turnaround can't be ignored. Again, with the schedule, but because then who else would be the next one? What, Ben Johnson? I guess would have to be, but is it not Ben Johnson?
Shanahan,
is it Liam Cohen?
Kyle Shanahan's still my name if I were like voting.
I can tell you, like Polymarket.
In terms of odds, I don't know who's second right now.
Polymarket's becoming a really big. This is not the right year.
The prediction markets.
Yeah, Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Kyle Shanahan, Liam Cohen. Yep.
Does Mike McDonald get no love?
I was gonna say I'm surprised McDonald's not in the same conversation. Like it's not like the Seahawks were world beaters last year. Now they're the 1 seed in the NFC.
No, I missed him. He actually is number 2 on here. I somehow missed his name there.
Oh, he's number 2 after
Vrabel, McDonald, Johnson, Shanahan, Cohen.
And he's got Sam Darnold at quarterback in the NFC West, and they're the 1 seed. I don't know why Vrabel gets so much credit and then McDonald doesn't.
One thing I will say when it comes to
what was the record last year? The Seahawks.
They were a playoff team. I think they won like 11 games or something. Let me see.
Wasn't it? That was Gino, right? It was still Gino.
Yeah. I mean, they were
Gino,
good last
and
year,
then-
too. They were 14-3 last year. Or is that this year? No, that's the wrong
I
year.
think it's-
Sorry, I'm Googling. Google is not always right. Let me see here. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They had 10-7 last year. So yeah, they were still good. I think the weird thing for me is I think strength of schedule does matter more for a head coaching job than it does for just an MVP. And maybe that's just a weird thing, but I feel like when it comes to a player, it shouldn't matter what their schedule is. But when it comes to a coach, then I think it does matter more because it's more of a whole team that they got to plan for.
I think that's a little hard to follow because it's all intertwined. There's so many variables involved. Like Drew said, if you're playing a bad team, like a bad offense, like it does matter because of ball control and your game plan
That's fair.
completely changes. If it's a shootout, your game plan changes versus if their defense, you're gonna run the ball the whole game. If the other team's offense is just dog crap, and then you're just gonna run the ball down their throats and score
Yeah.
and hold the ball the whole game because you know they can't score. It's like a completely different game plan. So if the other team has a terrible offense all the time, imagine like you played the Jets every single week. Do you think like Joe Burrow wouldn't have had his season if he played the Jets every single week like last year because you just wouldn't have had the scoring to make it a shootout. You know, it's just I don't really think that the argument of like the team not mattering for like quarterback counting stats on the
Well,
other
I'm
end,
just saying I don't think it matters as
Stafford
much
had-
as for a head coach.
yeah.
Because you still have to be able to, like, even you might go up against a team with a bad offense, but a good defense, and you still got to be able to play offense.
Well, like Stafford was so far ahead of May in like several key stats, like touchdowns and yards. And then May went on this run where like he got to play the Jets like 2 out of 3 weeks and the Dolphins,
Yeah.
and he just put up bonkers numbers. Meanwhile, Stafford played like the Seahawks twice and the 49ers. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
valid.
tough.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're talking
Regardless,
coaches though.
So Vrabel is by far the favorite when it comes to odds to win this
Mhm, sure.
award. I think it should be Shanahan, personally. I think
I'm
the
with you.
49ers had so many injuries, and if you look at their team most weeks, they barely had any weapons at all other than Purdy and McCaffrey. They shouldn't have even been in the situation they were in to be the 1 seed in the NFC. And then they didn't get that, but they did win their first playoff game. And now here we are. I mean, I could literally see the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. Not saying that that's my prediction, but I could see a scenario where that happens.
That should give him the
that's
win right there.
crazy.
That should give
And
him
yeah,
the
he
win
probably-
right there.
He probably lost coach of the year when they lost to the Seahawks when they were playing for the 1 seed in
Yeah.
that last game. But okay, so you lost that game. You can't. Nobody thinks the Eagles' defense is bad. Like it's an elite unit still. It's just the
Yeah.
offense that holds that squad back. And they went out there and beat them with Jawan Jennings and Robinson, and like it's just crazy what they and their defense is like second and third stringers almost
Yeah.
up and down.
That was the thing that like again like I know that people give credit to Bob Saleh, but like that defense was literally a bunch of nobodies, like all second, third string guys that like just weren't starters in the NFL, and they did what they needed to do to get the you know to get it done. I think the Shanahan is the Josh Allen of the coach of the year category. It's like we all kind of know who the best one guy is. Like it's just like we kind of know who the best guy is. It's just how the award is given. It just didn't pan out, you know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay. Did anyone not make a pick yet? I think we all did, right?
I don't
'Cause
think
Drew, you agreed with Shanahan, right? Okay, sick.
But
Let's
I
do
mean,
some picks.
Vrabel's obviously going to win, and he deserves it. Nice.
Yeah, it's a weird year where I think a lot of people deserve it a lot more than usual. One deserves it too, you know, but they can't all win it.
Agreed.
All right, let's do a speed round of
Yep.
division round NFL picks here, and I'll read you off the teams. I just want who you think will win. One sentence for why. Jordy, Bills at Denver.
I already said this, but Bills are going to win because Josh Allen is him.
Drew,
Bills, Josh Allen.
Bills, Josh Allen. Because if not, what do I have to root for?
Oh well, so like rewind. Bills, Haley Steinfeld.
Well,
Eesh.
Bills because of Josh Allen's fiance. Yes. All right, Jordan, Houston at New England.
I don't know why I have a weird feeling that if they can just get Stroud in some type of rhythm, I think that Houston can do it. So I would actually going to pick Houston.
I'll be the guy, but I would take the Texans too. Their defense is so good.
I'm actually fairly confident in this pick that it's the Texans. I think the defense matters so much in this game, not because the New England offense is horrible, but because they're too young, and I think they need another year or two to really put the pieces together.
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah, of course.
It has been said somewhere. I can't remember where I heard it, but someone said that like defenses don't get nervous. It's like when you're throughout the course of the game, like when you're just getting after the ball, it's like you don't like get the yips on a throw or a catch. You don't like accidentally drop the ball. Like defenses just kind of go out there and like you're play to play, you're just moving around, you're hitting people, you're playing your game. They don't get nervous. So I just feel like there's like the chance that the Houston just gives up 40 points is like almost zero. Like
And in Stroud's defense, like how much under fire was he in that game last night? And he would like fumble it or throw a bad pick, and the defense would walk out there and then instant 3 and out and get Stroud back out on the field. Like
4 fumbles, 2 of them lost, and then they ended up 30-6. Like it was absolutely crazy dominant defensive game.
The defense is insane.
And so that's the thing. That's why it's gonna be intriguing because if Drake May can play well against this team, it's gonna be like a
maybe we were wrong about this guy.
So his dynasty value is going to go even further through the roof if he balls out in this game.
Yeah, well, he played at North Carolina, so he's all right.
Hey-o.
Jordy, San Francisco at Seattle.
I've got to go Seattle just because I just think that the magic's going to wear off with the Niners with the injuries. Like there's only so much you can overcome, kind of a thing. I'm not counting them completely out, but if I was going to pick, I would pick Seattle.
Okay, Drew, what about you?
If we were like betting, I might take the Niners and those 7.5 points. But if we're just like if it pick 'em situation, you got to take the Seahawks, which is how injured the 49ers are. It's like it'd be cool if it kept going, I guess. But
I'm gonna call this a par for the course season for the Niners, and they're gonna win this game. And I think they have a chance of winning the Super Bowl. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
They get Fred Warner back if they win this week, right?
Yeah, dude, I've seen some videos of that dude doing some crazy stuff. I feel like he should be back on the football field now.
What type of money could I make if I did Tonjes over 1.5 touchdowns?
A lot of money.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll talk offline, but you can get a payday for that.
Yep. What's that going to be like? Plus like 800? I don't know. What's that going to be? More than that even? Like
I could see it being over 1,000 because it's not Kittle. It's Tonjes. All right, last one here, Jordan. Rams going to Chicago.
I actually was going to say this earlier, but the time kind of passed. I think the Rams at this point are going to win it all. I think after the close call with the Panthers, that they kind of like humbled them a little bit, but they're still like one of the best teams. That I kind of
think that's all it took. They've had a lot of losses and close calls lately,
but it's the playoffs, and I just think that they're the most complete team too. Their defense is good. They have Stafford with the experience. They've got Kyron is solid. Puka's the best wide receiver in the league right now. I just think that like if you put it
31 points to the
Panthers, I think the Panthers are actually like when they play well are a little underrated. And you can throw on the Rams all year. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I do. I think the Panthers are. Like, they're up and down. They're up. I know. They're up and down. But I think the Panthers like next year. I would not be surprised if the Panthers have a take a step forward. Yeah, 10, 11 wins. Like they take a step forward. But I think that was like the close call that wake up call, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. I think that the Rams. Well, you said it's the Bears, right? I wouldn't even be surprised if the Rams handled the Bears convincingly in this game.
What about you, Drew?
I can't abandon them now. The Rams are going to get their best guard back, who's been missing for like the last month. And unlike the Packers, they can actually run the ball a little bit. The Packers were up 20-something points, and Josh Jacobs had 6 rushes in the second half. Like, how does that make sense? So I think if the Rams can jump them, they can bleed the rest of the clock and get there. Their defense is a little, but I'll take the Rams.
Yeah, one thing the Rams have that the Packers don't have is competent play calling. The Packers are known this season for blowing games in the fourth quarter, or at least making them tighter, even if they win. The Bears are known for being kind of a second half team this year, but the Rams play really good in the fourth quarter too. And the difference here is they don't suck in the first. Give me the Rams.
Yeah. And you've seen Stafford like comeback wins to win the NFC Championship and win the Super Bowl. And I think the Bears, like their interior is a little banged up. I could see Puka just like destroying them over the middle the whole game.
Yeah.
And Corum is like one of the unsung heroes of that team. He's just such a reliable dog. I know Scotty loves him from the Michigan guy.
The Michigan boy.
I will say as just a second option. Like he's just such a solid guy to just go give you a little bit extra. When
he could be starting a break. He could be starting in a year or two. He's not that far away.
Could be.
But he's also more of a bruiser. And I feel like usually they don't get the share load. They just get the situational play. Anyway, thank you guys for that. Let's do college football. National championship next week. Miami, Indiana. Indiana's 8.5-point favorite. We'll do the odds. We'll do the spread this time. I'll flip the order here. Drew, who you got?
Indy.
Jordy?
Okay.
Indy. I picked the Alabama to beat them, and then they just absolutely like destroyed them. And he's going to go down as one of the wildest like success stories ever. But I think they go undefeated. I think again, I would predict a convincing win. I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck is a fraud when we talk about frauds, and I think Indy is going to finish their story like they're freaking Cody Rhodes in the WWE.
Oh
it's
my
over.
gosh.
Yep, it's over. All right, boys. Well, hey, another lengthy episode here. Another really good time chatting football with you guys. Thanks for coming on again. Any last thoughts you have that we didn't address already, Jordan?
No, wish me luck. This Friday will be my first official interview for a job as the hiring manager at my
Ooh.
pharmacy. So I gotta put my hiring hat on, and that'll be fun. This Friday, hoping to hire a new technician. So
Hell yeah, you're on the other side.
Unrelated, but just something on my mind. So
No, that's awesome, man. Well, good luck.
thanks, man.
Must be nice to be on the other side of the desk.
Yes.
Drew, anything for you?
I know we're at a lovely time of the year where you get to watch some football. And then if you haven't, make sure you catch One Battle After Another and Sinners and Marty Supreme and Weapons. Some good movies, good movie year. I know that's not the point of this pod, but I can go if we need it. Let's run it back for 2 more hours.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to go see Marty Supreme then, because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Weapons is not for me, I don't think. I'm not a big like horror, like thriller sometimes, but Sinners was fantastic. It was my favorite movie I watched last year.
I think you might like Weapons. I don't think Raven would.
Think
but
so?
I think you might like
Okay.
it. I think
So just watch it by myself sometime.
It's more of an intriguing movie. It's not like your typical horror film, in
Okay.
my opinion. But
That's one where the kids all like run away from home one night, right?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Well, my last words are just a thank you. Thank you, boys, for coming on here again. It's always great to have these types of conversations. I love talking, especially fantasy football with you guys, but I think all three of us kind of prioritize and focus on different things sometimes when it comes to sports. And I love like hearing about coaching positions from you guys. I don't pay much attention to that. Analytics from Jordan. And I just love to kind of dive into things that I don't always think about when it comes to football. So, hey, man, we're in for a treat this weekend. Enjoy the sports. And thanks again for coming on here. And we will talk soon.
go Bills.
Do you do it?